Welcome back. Well, borders are closing around the world. Ours here tonight at 9 p.m. Sydney time. For our Friday panel, Sky News host of Outsiders, Rowan Dean, and Executive Director of the IPA, John Roscombe, here in Melbourne.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, Rita's written a terrific piece on that and in the Herald Sun. And we really have to, and as she says, hold China's feet to the fire. If it were a company or if it were an individual, but certainly if it were a company that had caused such worldwide damage, other countries would be asking reparations. They would be coming after them for, we saw after the World Wars, we saw reparations. The damage that China has willfully inflicted upon the entire world, firstly, and let's be absolutely crystal clear, this is an inevitable consequence of communism and totalitarianism. First of all, they tried to shut it up and suppress those individuals who were sounding the alarm, even to the extent of locking up one of the doctors who'd sounded the alarm. He later died. Whether he, as Rita says, whether he died of the virus or not is a matter of speculation, but he later died. So this is communism at its height: suppress the information, then panic afterwards, and then try and attribute the blame to the states, which is just laughable. China must be held to account for this, and countries around the world have to start looking at their relationships with China in the light of this
There's nothing that
disaster.
President Trump has said about what's happened in China in relation to the virus that I think is wrong. The Australian government acted correctly. It acted correctly in relation to banning and quarantining foreign students in Australian universities. And to touch on Rowan's point, which I think is absolutely correct and is now the subject of a really interesting and active debate in the US about the role of Chinese-American trade relations, the supply chain issues that American companies rely on. Americans have been surprised, for example, to discover that 45% of their penicillin comes from China. So this has got huge geopolitical trade ramifications.
As the world struggles to contain the new virus, a new speculation from the Chinese scientists who believe it may have originated at a research facility not far from the Wuhan fish market. While they say more research needs to be done to find solid proof, such labs are known to contain disease-ridden animals, including hundreds of bats. Our Kim Hyo-sun with the details.
Amid the continued spread of the COVID-19 virus, there's rising speculation the virus could have originated from a government laboratory in Wuhan, rather than the widely held belief that it emerged from the city's Huanan seafood markets. Citing a report published by Chinese scientists, a Chinese-language newspaper published in Hong Kong, Mingpao, and the British daily The Mirror explained Sunday that the Wuhan Center for Disease Control, or WHCDC, could have spawned the contagion in Hubei province. According to the report penned by Bo Tao Xiao and Lei Xiao of the South China University of Technology, the research lab, which is only 280 meters away from the Huanan seafood market, kept disease-ridden animals, including more than 600 bats. It stated that while it's plausible the virus was leaked from the lab and contaminated initial patients in this epidemic, more solid evidence is required through future study. The report also raised a possibility that the Wuhan Institute of Virology could have leaked the virus while it was carrying out tests involving Chinese horseshoe bats. Against such a backdrop, an article published by the Washington Times late last month is garnering attention as it raised the possibility that the disastrous outbreak could be the accidental result of biological weapons research. This comes as a renowned law professor at Tsinghua University in Beijing, Xu Jianren, is known to be missing after publicly condemning Chinese President Xi Jinping for failing to contain the spread of the virus at an early stage. He even added the condemnation could be the last message of his life. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
We're here today to announce 3 separate cases highlighting the ongoing threat posed by Chinese economic espionage and research theft in the United States.
Federal investigators at the Lexington home of 60-year-old Dr. Charles Lieber today, moments after his arrest at his Harvard office.
The complaint alleges that Dr. Lieber signed a contract with the Chinese university in Wuhan and was paid up to $50,000 per month, plus up to $158,000 in living expenses.
The chair of Harvard's chemistry department, he also allegedly received more than $1.5 million to set up a research lab in China, all while working at Harvard and receiving multiple research grants from the U.S. Department of Defense and National Institutes of Health. Also charged today, 2 Chinese nationals, 29-year-old Yang Qingyi, who worked as a scientific researcher at Boston University,
who failed to mention on her visa application that she is also a lieutenant with the People's Liberation Army.
30-year-old Zhaozong Zhang worked on cancer research at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center.
For trying to smuggle vials of biological material out of the United States to China and lying about it to federal investigators.
Now, Lieber is due back in court Thursday. He's currently behind bars. He could face up to 5 years in prison if convicted. And Harvard does tell me he's currently on paid administrative leave. Meantime, Harvard, Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, and BU are all cooperating with authorities. Reporting live in South Boston, Nicole Burley, WCVB News Center 5.